These are...
No fear. No political correctness. No wokeism. You're listening to Underground USA.
Here's this morning's segment on the Captain's America Third Watch with Matt Bruce, is broadcast on the Salem and Genesis Communications networks to over 2 million people around the world each and every night.
Joining us right now from the panhandle of Florida, where it's got to be nice and cool and comfortable because he's up there further north than I am, so we like to call that the frozen tundra, but I somehow don't think it is. It's Frank Salvato from the undergroundusa.com website. Okay, is it warm up there?
It's a little toasty. We've had some heat advisories the last few days. So.
It's 82 degrees here right now, clear skies, but that's not.
Hey, we'll be lucky. We'll be lucky if we have lower 90s today.
Okay, well, that's not bad. That's not bad. Beach, California, 118 in the shade out there in Death Valley.
Not for July in Florida, that's for sure.
No. Now, we had a situation last night near Rochester, New York, where the GOP nominee for New York governor, Congressman Lee Zeldin, who's from downstate in Long Island, was attacked by what they now believe was I don't know that we can use the word drunk, but he had been drinking, Iraq war veteran, and he just got out of hand and walked up on the stage, and away he went.
He got up on the stage. He also had a weapon. He had a knife.
Mm-hmm.
He had a crafted knife
mm-hmm.
that goes to prove that you don't need a gun to actually threaten somebody's life.
Nope.
In the aftermath of the ruling in New York that everybody's going crazy, all the liberals are going crazy about up in New York. That's the first point. Second point is if somebody did have a concealed carry up there, they could have dropped the guy when he showed the knife.
Sure.
I'm glad Zeldin's okay. He wasn't hurt. They wrestled a bit, and I guess the lead of the VFW up there is the guy who subdued him.
Yes, sir.
He sprung into action, so kudos to him. But another reason why we have to address mental health in this country in an honest way, rather than just throwing money at it or pontificating about it during an election year. And another reason why we have to provide those services to our veterans.
Mm-hmm.
You got to dig into what was affecting this guy,
mm-hmm.
that he would rush a stage with a knife and try and kill a candidate for governor.
Mm-hmm. Now, 5 days after President Biden finished a trip to the Middle East, where he pumped fists and shook hands with Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid and pumped fists with Israeli President Isaac Herzog, the White House has announced that Biden has tested positive for COVID-19. Now, he had a press conference where he was coughing and hacking and drinking water up in front of some reporters and whatnot. So there's no telling how many people he may have infected or crossed paths with.
The good thing about this one is the variant that's going around is not aggressive, even though it can be transmitted easily. Even people who are in their 80s and 90s are having it and recovering it without being hospitalized. So this strain is not something that we should be freaking out over, especially after Omicron, when a lot of people have built natural immunity to this. The idea that the press is going berserk, that the president has COVID, about this strain is over the top, overkill, trying to beat the dead horse to make it something that it's not. That said, if we were going to go by the way Mr. Biden has responded to the COVID events and still does, everybody on Air Force One should be quarantined.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If he's going to play this card about COVID still being something that we need a national health emergency about, then everybody on Air Force One has to be quarantined. So which one is it?
Yep. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I don't think he'll do that, but that's just me.
Of course, there's two sets of rules in this country.
Mm-hmm.
There's rules for people like you and I, and then there's rules for who they anoint as the elite.
Yep.
We saw that during the worst days of COVID when Gavin Newsom was having $400 a plate dinners and everybody else was in their homes.
Well, hold that thought, my friend. I'll be right back with more with Frank Salvato, UndergroundUSA.com. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.
Hi, everybody. This is the Captain, Matt Bruce. Tune in 2 to 6 a.m. to hear tonight what they'll be talking about tomorrow on this radio station. The Captain's America Third Watch. Always American and always conservative. God bless America.
Did you know that Yopon is the only tea plant indigenous to the United States? Hi, I'm CJ, the owner of Emerald Coast Tea Company. We have a line of Yopon teas and Yopon tea blends that will open your eyes to tea that is literally made in the USA. Check out our entire line of teas at www.emeraldcoastteacompany.com. Honey, this ain't your mama's tea.
News, insight, passion. AM 930, The Answer.
This is Frank Salvato from Underground USA, and you're listening to the Captain's America Third Watch with Matt Bruce, heard by over 2 million people coast to coast and around the world every night. Captain, let's do it.
All righty. Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain's America Third Watch, Friday morning edition. I'm speaking with Frank Salvato from the UndergroundUSA.com website. Go over there, check that out. But in the meantime, this portion of the program brought to you by Moss Family Automotive. Check them out, MAUSNissan.com, MAUSMossNissan.com. And don't be afraid to tell them the captain sent you. All right, back to Frank Salvato, UndergroundUSA.com, and good morning, my friend.
Mr. Captain.
Now, there's no doubt that the truckers in California got screwed, blued, and tattooed with the gig law out there that we talked about probably a month and a half or so ago. Now, what they're doing is they're taking a job action by taking the tractors that are out there, because, again, the way it changed was if you're not a member of the union and if you're not leased to a company, not your own company with your own authority, but at a company, regular company, that comes into the ports and has a contract to be there, then they don't want you hauling out of their ports. So they are blocking the entrance and exit as best they can with their trucks, just saying, well, geez, it won't start or got a flat tire or whatever. And that'll only last so long, but the port in Los Angeles and the port in Oakland are both being handled that way.
This is obviously a union-connected give-back from the elected class in California and ill thought out, given the supply chain issue that's happening out there. A stupid rule that runs counter to the idea of the free market. I would have much rather seen the truckers say, you know what, California politicians, you want to treat us like this, we're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
We're gone. We're going to port states like Texas,
mm-hmm.
Florida, where A, there's no income tax, but
mm-hmm.
B, we can find work, and they're right to work states. We don't have to be union, so we're leaving.
Yep.
Get your government-run trucks over here to move the food into the grocery stores. Get your government-run trucks and your union-aligned people to unload all of the cargo and all of the goods that all the elites want in Los Angeles and San Francisco that are usually moved by independent truckers, because we're leaving. Because I believe they're, 70,000 strong?
Yep.
Yeah. So find a replacement for 70,000 people at the drop of a dime, because you choose to treat us like second-class citizens in our own industry, because we don't get robbed by a union every month in our paycheck. I would have much rather seen them walk away from the state of California, just like a lot of corporations have done and just like a lot of citizens have done, because the ruling class in California is so snobbish and highbrow, so elite, that they believe it's okay to hurt the people that actually live and work in their state.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, we've got companies like Costco, Kroger, of course, Wendy's ran out of hamburgers a little while ago. And how can this possibly be? How can you run out of hamburgers at a Wendy's? But they did, because they weren't coming in the way that they were supposed to be, because Wendy's gets their hamburgers processed overseas. I don't know if you knew that or not. And then they're shipped in by a ship.
Well, it's not because we have a lack of cattle ranchers in this country. That's for damn sure.
Mm-hmm.
You're hearing report after report of cattle ranchers having to cull their herds.
That's right.
Because they can't get the herds through the processing plants to market.
Yep.
And when you look at the processing plants in this country, I believe there's a big 4.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 of them are Chinese-owned.
Yep. Smithfield, out of Virginia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's time to actually decentralize that industry. In years past, Congress would have been looking at this saying, whoa, there's really no competition here. There's a lone 4 that have carved up the country, and they're working in collusion. We have to do something to break this up. Now, that's anti-free market as far as I'm concerned. But when you have people come over here dominating an industry like that who can control the food supply and jack up the prices,
mm-hmm.
the cattle ranchers, when they do get their product to market, are not making a killing. The people who are making the money in all of this are the processors. We need to shed a spotlight on them and show the American people how they're getting raped at the supermarkets because the processors are doing the raping, not the cattle ranchers.
Now, I know that you like being around politics a lot and being involved with talking about it. And here's something.
I do not.
Yep. And here's something.
What do you mean?
And here's something that'll really blow you away. A Rasmussen Reports poll released yesterday found that nearly 7 in 10 voters do not want Hillary Clinton to run for president again in 2024. Now, it gets better. It gets better. A resounding 66% say that they don't want to see Mitt Romney run again for anything. And that's compared to only 19% who said he should. Meanwhile, his colleague, Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, who is also unpopular with the voters nationally, 63% of them said he should sit out the next presidential primary. Meanwhile, 67% responded that they didn't want to see the once popular Senator Bernie Sanders run in 2024. They've had enough with him.
Getting away from the specific names, I do believe there's a distaste for Hillary Clinton because she's a lying thief.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why there's such a bad taste in her mouth about Hillary Clinton. She hasn't told the truth for the last 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want her. They don't want someone who's going to lie to them and think it's okay, especially when that person's taking a knee for the globalist elite around the world.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those numbers high, take away those names, and what the sentiment is saying is they're tired of 20, 30, and 40-year professional politicians.
Yep.
They want a sea change in Washington. Now, the one thing I will add for people to consider in this is that it's not necessarily the person going to Washington that's causing the problems that just linger and linger and linger.
Mm-hmm.
It's the department and agency hierarchy in the administrative apparatus that never changes,
right?
That keeps government going in a perpetual type of motion.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be term limits on those people as well. Add to that the congressional staff that never changes, but just moves around to different offices when new people get elected. When you don't have a sea change over the whole of government when things change, nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
So when your executive staffs at the EPA, at the State Department, at the Justice Department, at the IRS, at the Interior Department, when they never change, the upper echelon that comes in who is new to the job has to rely on someone to get it to function because they don't know the ins and outs of what happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people who control what happens, and those are the people that have to be changed out.
Can you stick around for another segment?
You bet.
Okay. All right, folks. Frank will be right back with me. And when we come back, there's been an agreement reached on the Ukrainian grain. Turkey was a broker. They'll be signing a deal today with Russia and other countries in Istanbul. We'll be telling you all about that and a lot more to come with Frank Silvato from UndergroundUSA.com.
This is the Captain's America Third Watch.
Hey, this is Judson Carroll of the Southern Appalachian Herbs Podcast. My new book, Growing Your Survival Herb Garden for Preppers, Homesteaders, and everyone else, is really for everyone. no matter where you live, whether you're in a homeowners association or you have a nice big farm, or even if all you have is a balcony and an apartment, you can grow the herbs you need for your health, for your family's health, and be ready to face any circumstance that comes your way. I make growing herbs easy, practical, and fun, actually. So look for this book. It's on Amazon if you want a print copy, or you can contact me directly for an ebook. Find me at judsoncarroll.com. Thanks, and I know you will enjoy this.
News, insight, passion. AM 930, The Answer.
All right, back to Frank Salvato, UndergroundUSA.com. And good morning, Frank, and thanks for sticking around.
Absolutely, anytime and always.
Now, Turkey is going to have the Russians and another group of interested companies that are looking to buy the Ukrainian grain, and a Ukrainian grain export deal is going to be signed today in Istanbul.
Take a look at this as from the vantage point of a chess game instead of a checkers game. You had Turkey, who vocalized their opposition to the Ukraine joining NATO. That took a long time to actually come to the table. So Putin is rewarding him, making Turkey a major negotiating player in that sphere. Not just in Europe, but, Istanbul and Turkey is the gateway into Asia and the Middle East for Europe. So Putin is rewarding Erdogan with a broker's title when it comes to negotiating between Russia and the world. That's not a small title to have. He's being rewarded for not joining in with his European counterparts in a knee-jerk fashion when it came to the Ukraine. So while it's good that we're moving food to people who need it, and creating trade for people who need that trade at this moment, there is a political angle to that too.
Now, 8 House Republicans yesterday broke with their party to support a bill intended to protect access to contraceptives, according to the Hill. So the measure got passed.
I can't express enough the uselessness of these pieces of legislation coming out of the House now with regard to the decision by the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. These are all sensationalized measures that are, A, going to go nowhere in the Senate, but B, don't need to happen because nothing is going to happen to affect these things. Mm-hmm. Contraception is not under threat of being removed as a legal thing. It's just not. Mm-hmm. Same-sex marriage, interracial marriage is not being threatened in the United States. The Supreme Court Justice Tantamount has said so. Mm-hmm. Clarence Thomas was espousing his own personal opinions on these things, and he is one out of the 9 that thinks that way. Mm-hmm. So all of these measures being passed through the House that are supposed, we have to panic. We have to protect same-sex marriage. We have to protect interracial. We have to protect contraceptives. It's all for show. Mm-hmm. It's all to try to make this Roe versus Wade decision more than it is going into the midterms of the general, because now that people are understanding that in their states there's abortion law, you can still get an abortion in this state. In the Bible Belt states, you can still get an abortion under circumstances. I thought it was outlawed. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. The Supreme Court decision didn't outlaw abortion. It gave the right to purview over that back to the states where it belonged. And now people are starting to go, well, what else is the federal government doing that they shouldn't be doing that the states should have a say over? Mm-hmm. People are waking up to that. Mm-hmm. And the left in Congress cannot have that. So they need to instill the fear factor in the people out there about things that aren't even being threatened in order to gin up a false flag argument for the midterms and the next general. That's what these legislations are.
Now, Steve Bannon and his defense is seeking an acquittal of his charges, and then they're going to rest their case when they do that. In the meantime, the prosecution called 2 witnesses, and that was the end of their case. This has been a very quick little deal moving down the road, and it's expected to go to the jury today.
I would be asking for that too. The First Amendment right to redress of government and free speech. There has been nothing proven that a crime, besides the people who broke up property and who engaged in the trumped-up charge of unlawfully being on Capitol grounds, there was no crime committed on January 6th, except for those people directly related to those two acts. What did Steve Bannon do?
Nothing. He wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
You can say anything you want when you're talking about politics in this country.
Mm-hmm.
It's protected under the First Amendment. So what does Steve Bannon do?
Mm-hmm.
Why was he brought up on charges? Why should he be asking for an acquittal? He should have even been charged.
Mm-hmm.
In the United States, we don't do what the communist Chinese do, and we don't do what the Soviets did. We don't even do what the despots of Venezuela do. We don't execute political persecution. But everything surrounding January 6th that is directly related to people who damaged property is political persecution.
Yep.
It's being exercised by the people who scream tolerance in every other avenue of politics and society today.
Yep.
So are we the land of the free anymore? Well, if you were screaming on January 6th that you thought something was wrong and you happened to be in Washington, D.C., not so much.
Mm-hmm. Now, two of our most favorite female Democrats, a super PAC group, is now working to block Kamala Harris and Maxine Waters from being on the ballots anywhere.
Well, I disagree with that. I just do. Unless they are disqualified because of the qualifications for the office, which I believe Maxine Waters is because she doesn't live in her district.
That's right.
And that should have been addressed
years ago.
Mm-hmm. That was just allowed to stand. The House should have expelled her for not meeting the qualifications, but she's a Democrat vote, so that would never happen. But Kamala Harris, her crime is being a moron.
Mm-hmm.
But she's qualified in every other way to run for an office. There are only so many qualifying prerequisites for running for office. And sadly, she meets them all because there's no intelligence requirement. But she has a right to run, just like Donald Trump has a right to run.
Mm-hmm.
When Liz Cheney came out on the January 6th podium and said that the purposes of this commission is to make sure that Donald Trump never runs for president again,
right?
That's a violation of his rights as a U.S. citizen. Because that's what he is right now.
It's also a violation of her oath as a congresswoman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not about political prosecution or expelling people from being from ballot.
All right. Well, you have yourself a great weekend. I look forward to talking to you on Monday. So stay nice and cool up there.
I'll do my best. Stay well, my friend.
All right. Thanks very much. Frank Salvato, undergroundusa.com website, undergroundusa.com. Go there, check it out, see all the different things that he gets involved in, and I will be right back with more.
You're listening to the Captain's America Third Watch.
Please like the episode on the platform you're listening to us on, leave a comment if it lets you, and share us with your friends and family. Our influence grows when you share our podcast. And don't forget to sign up for our Substack, which comes directly to you, subverting the interference of the internet gatekeepers and social media censors. You're listening to Underground USA. My name is Frank Salvato. We'll be right back after this. Just a few years back, I had two of the most unique and personable dogs I had ever encountered. God rest their souls. Riley and Coulter. I named them after Bill O'Reilly and Ann Coulter, and you can take that whichever way it suits you. Riley, the larger male of the brother-sister pair, they were Beagle, Jack Russell, and a Pomeranian mix, would eat a boiled can if I put it within striking distance, so I was always on the lookout for something that would be nourishing, but wouldn't make him into a blimp. Coulter was the complete opposite. It was like trying to guess what Cleopatra wanted for dinner each day. Needless to say, the task of finding something store-bought fell to the wayside, and I ended up cooking for both of them. My friends thought I was insane. To that end, I wish our new sponsor's product would have been around back then. Sundays for Dogs is real food, not kibble. It's real food for dogs, formulated by a vet with only the highest quality fresh meat, vegetables, fruit, and superfoods. Made in the USA at a USDA human food facility. It's then air-dried to perfection into fresh dog food that's shelf-stable and affordable. It's 40% less expensive than leading fresh brands. Not that Riley would have needed it, but Sundays for Dogs elevated a dog's excitement about eating because it's real food, the same food that we eat. It helps manage weight, increases energy, and produces a softer coat and better digestion. Starting at just $2 a day on average, if you can keep your Riley away from the bag. It's all natural, real, raw, whole food that tastes like a treat, but it's actually a completely balanced and nutritious meal. And with a hassle-free money-back guarantee, it's a no-risk try. Plus, when you order online, enter the promo code UUSA, the letters UUSA, to receive a 35% discount on your first order. Go to sundaysfordogs.com and be sure to use the promo code UUSA to receive 35% off your first order. Do it for your Riley and Coulter. Not Bill and Ann, of course. I don't think they would care. sundaysfordogs.com.